Hey guys, I'm here again to talk to you about a topic that's really difficult to talk about for many people, and that's why I know it's really important for me to talk about it today. Because the reason why I talk about these things is that there's one person out there, if there's just one person who is able to hear this and then reach out and get help and start speaking out, well then this video is well worth it, well worth the time. That's my heart, my goal, and everything that I share is that you, whoever you are, feel inspired, you feel less alone, and you reach out and you start feeling better and you start recognizing that you deserve to feel better no matter what you've been through. Okay? So this might not be perfect. I'm not about statistics or research. I'm about sharing from my heart. So know that if you're here today, that you're meant to hear this for some reason, and I trust that the universe is going to give you whatever you need. So it takes the pressure off of me. Whew, it's a lot of pressure. Okay. So we're talking about sexual pleasure today. We're talking about the fact that when we have been through sexual trauma of any capacity, it's really difficult for us to receive pleasure, or the circuit in our brain is like constantly on and we're always looking for pleasure in a way that's probably hurts us or hurts somebody else. Now, I'm going to talk about also pleasure just in everyday life too, but we're starting with sexual pleasure first. So what happens when you've experienced sexual trauma of any capacity as a child or as an adult? It does something to your brain where it clicks and rewires your brain to connect shame and fear to sex. So that's really important that you get that. So if you've experienced childhood sexual abuse, if you've been raped as an adult, if you experience sexual assault in any capacity, the brain ultimately starts thinking that sexual pleasure involves shame, involves fear. You know, and what's really a mind screw is that if your sexual abuse, sexual assault actually occurred with someone that you love, or someone that was giving you extra attention, or someone that made you feel special, your brain does a whole other mind fuck where you're like, whoa, now I feel guilty because I actually kind of enjoyed it, or I felt special, or I felt unique. I felt like he was finally giving me attention, or she was finally giving me attention. So now, and moving forward when you're an adult, when sexual pleasure is there, like when you're supposed to have sex and you're supposed to enjoy it, or you're supposed to be available to your partner emotionally, physically, spiritually, it can feel weird, it can feel scary, it can feel uncomfortable. So the outcome of this is when you've been sexually traumatized in any capacity, you might turn on your sexual energy like so high where it's like, whoa, it's like the only thing that you have, and you like will give anything to have sex with someone. Like, it doesn't matter if they abuse you, it doesn't matter if like they treat you like shit, like the sex is so good. Why? Because your brain has been wired through that sexual trauma that, you know what makes sex really hot? It's pain and suffering. And if you really don't want me, and if you really don't like me, right? So it's like we get connected to this idea that, ooh, mystery or fear or hiding or some level of pain is actually sexy. And then we put ourselves in situations sexually with people who really don't deserve us, who might be abusive towards us, who might not really recognize who we are and give us what we need. So that's one outcome of sexual trauma and our pleasure, is that we seek it from the wrong people. It's like, hey, you abused me. That means we should be married. Or, hey, you abused me. I can't stop thinking about you. Like, oh my God, you're so fucking hot. So that's like one way, right? And then there's another way. So in this way, what we see here is like the puritanical mindset. We don't talk about sex. We don't think about sex. Sex is only appropriate in this time. We only talk about it here and there. Everything else is wrong. There's a lot of fear around sex. Dude, like, you're not allowed to do it. And it feels weird. It feels icky. Maybe you have to have the lights off during sex. Maybe sex has to be like certain things, and all of these things have to be lined up in a certain row. Otherwise, you can't be turned on. You can't relax. You might feel like sex is just like something else I have to do. Like, check that off my list. I just got to get this done, and let's move this along here. Let me get to the laundry. So like sex is no longer pleasurable. It becomes something like disgusting. Like, ew, did you just say sex? Like you almost have like this childlike response to hearing people talk about sex or even sexy people. Like, maybe you'll see a sexy woman and be like, oh my God, that's inappropriate. That's terrible. And you might go into this like judgy mindset because the idea of sex and pleasure is so terrifying that you shut it off completely. It's like, bye-bye, not gonna go there. The idea of someone being sexy or sex, like I don't want to touch that with the 10-foot pole. Like it freaks me out. It's wrong. It could hurt myself. It could hurt somebody else. So I don't even want to think about sex. I don't want. Let's pretend that nobody's having it, or let's pretend that I don't want it, because it makes me uncomfortable. Why? Because the way your sexual trauma hit your brain, it just turned off your desires and made you feel like your desire was wrong, that it was wrong for you to have sexual pleasure, that it was wrong for you to want to connect with someone else physically, emotionally, spiritually, and in the body. So I'm going to recap real quick. We have 2 things that happen after sexual trauma. We have, whoa, I'm going to like let myself be abused and taken advantage of and think it's so hot and think I'm just so in love, like, oh, this person gets me. I'm like laughing because I just hear myself, like my own experiences, but this person really understands me. We have this connection. Yeah, they abuse me, or yeah, they're emotionally cold, or yeah, they're sending me mixed signals, or yeah, things are painful or terrible, but my God, the sex is hot. Or I can't stop thinking about them. They're so fantastic. Even though they're sending you mixed messages, even though they haven't even committed to you, even though they've given you no idea that they really actually care about you other than wanting to have sex with you. Why this happens is because sexual trauma makes us feel like we're objects for somebody else's pleasure, that we don't have our own rights, that we can't say yes, that we can't say no, that if somebody wants us, then we just have to like jump into their arms, and we have like no sense of boundaries. And it might feel like, oh, this is powerful, but really it's having no sense of boundary, no sense of self-respect, okay? So remember, that's one route, maybe going that way on the bridge. Just being obsessed with sex with the wrong people. And here's something else about that. I'll hear a lot like, well, you don't understand. Like, the sex is so good, though. Yeah, he's mean to me. Or, yeah, she's mean to me. She's cruel. But the sex is so good. So it's like we idolize the fact that just because you have good sex with someone means that you're supposed to be with them. Like, when it's not true. Because sexual trauma can make us really diminish our self-worth, make us feel really small, make us feel like, I really don't deserve love. So if anybody like wants us, and especially someone that brings us physical pleasure, it's like, oh yeah, I'm all in. I'm connected to that person. When in reality, we can have many people that we're feeling connected to, or many people that we love, and only certain people, or 1 or 2, I don't know, whoever you are, depending on who you are and how you think, will be worthy of your partnership, worthy to be there for you. So the mindset is committing too much to the wrong people, like giving it over because we don't really recognize our worth, because somewhere down the line we felt unworthy. So, like some sexual trauma told us that all you are is a body and I'm going to take advantage of you, and you can't do anything about that, right? And that's really painful. So that's one route. And then the other route that we just talked about is the puritanical route of don't talk about sex, don't think about sex, nobody's allowed to be sexy, that's inappropriate, how dare you, like, and then really diminishing women, like, oh my God, did you see what she was wearing? She was wearing a short skirt, that's terrible. And that mindset comes from the idea that if women are sexy, then they're putting themselves at risk, that they can harm themselves if they are sexy. That whole blaming the victim mentality is actually this screwed up way of trying to protect the victim, trying to protect people who've been abused. Because it comes from not healing our own abuse, so we project our fear onto somebody else and say, oh, there's a beautiful, innocent whatever, they shouldn't be sexy, that's not allowed. They're not allowed to do that. That's weird. So we try to shut it off, right? We try to divorce ourselves from our own sexual energy, thinking that maybe that's holy, that's religious, that's spiritual for me not to desire anything. Like there's something really good about that, because the idea of desire, when you desired something or when someone desired you in that sexual trauma, pain came from that. So are you following me here? So the idea of craving, of having desire, and like having that all awakened is really, really hard Because before, when that was connected, like desire, sex, when all of that was there in the sexual trauma, it brought shame, it brought pain. So as a result, you keep shaming other people when they're sexy or when they're beautiful. You know, you keep judging people, right, honey? And there's no like, this is no judgment for you. This is just helping you understand like what's happening and why are you making these decisions and why you are the way you are. In our healing, we're able to receive sexual pleasure. I was going to talk about other pleasure, but we don't have time for that. In our healing, we're able to receive sexual pleasure from a healthy, reciprocal person, and it's balanced, and it's beautiful, and it's safe, and we're able to enjoy our sexual energy, and it doesn't hurt us, and it doesn't hurt anybody else, and we stop worrying about it as some type of tool, right? We stop worrying about, like, oh my God, like, if I'm a sexual being, is that going to hurt somebody? There's all these rules. This is what, blah, 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 blah. Like, we don't have to worry about that anymore. It's like, when we're healing, and early on in healing, we have all these rules about sex is this, and sex is that, and you should do this, and you should do that, and blah, 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 blah. It's like before we've done our healing, like, we're, like, very robotic. Can you see this? I don't know. You can't see my legs. We're very robotic around sex. And then, you know, further on, when we've been doing our healing more, maybe when you just at least begin your healing, it's like, wait a minute, I'm allowed to feel pleasure. I'm allowed to receive pleasure from a healthy person. And let me tell you, that is the most terrifying thing, is receiving pleasure, physical, sexual pleasure from another person who loves you. Like when you've been traumatized, like that is the scariest thing, because that actually requires you to show up and not dissociate and go somewhere else in your head, right? It requires you to be here, to receive, and to be seen as a full person, not just a body. Yeah? So when you're doing your healing, you get to this place where you're like, wow, I get to receive. I'm worthy of receiving. I'm worthy of being in a safe, sexually intimate relationship with someone. Like that's actually okay. It's not dangerous. It's not a harm to me or somebody else. So if you relate to this in any way, dude, I related to all of it. So don't feel like there's anything wrong with you. The idea is that if you are hurting or you are suffering in any capacity, please reach out for help. It's so important. Reach out to me. I love getting messages. People are messaging me all the time, these wonderful stories and this truth from their heart is just bursting open. I love it. That's what I live for. Feel free to message me your story. Ask me about mine. Talk to anybody, dude. Like, just get out there. Start speaking. Start getting support. Real support. Not just people who are going to feed the problem, right? Or, like, agree with you, right? Because you need people who are going to hold space for you and really help your most powerful self emerge. Sexually, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So you deserve to get help, to feel really good in your body, to feel really sensual, to feel really alive, and realize there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's okay to be this beautiful creature in mind, body, and soul. It's really okay. And once you get help and you start talking to somebody, dude, the sky's the limit. It really is. And we can't do anything else. We can't start businesses. We can't raise our kids. We can't lose weight. We can't do anything until we feel really good in our sexual body. Until we feel really healthy, really holy. Till we get that this is, wow, this is awesome. This is fully human and fully divine. I'm freaking amazing. This is incredible. So once you wake up to that and you're healing, then you can lose weight. Then you can have a healthy relationship and not be addicted to some dick off. Dick off. I think that's Russian. Okay, I went much longer than I thought I was going to do. Message me if you have any questions. If you want to jump deeper, I would love to go deeper with you. I've been doing sessions all the time. It's my passion. It's my heart. Message me. I would love it. I hope this was helpful, and I hope to talk to you soon. Okay, bye.